Hello and welcome back to the program. I am once again your host, Joe. I guess this week we're going to talk about Community Plot. So, we watched that. That's a thing. It's a 20-minute film. God, let me pull up my sheet here just so I can get some actual accurate information. I'm running the most professional film review thing ever. I have a rumbling cat in my lap, and I'm opening up pages with things on them after the fact. Community Plot, 1984. Film from... Oh god, that's gonna make me feel old. Film from my birth year. Okay. Directed by J.T. Takagi? J.T. Takagi. Got a 6 out of 10 on the IMDb. 18 minutes long. It said it was a comedy. I'm not sure I'd agree with that. So let me give you the rundown. It's 18 minutes long, so this shouldn't take long. It opens up on a street in a rundown, just a poor neighborhood. Rundown tenement building sort of thing. People sticking their heads out the window to watch what's going on the streets. Kids running around. Inner city stuff. If you've seen a film from the 80s, you know what these streets look like. There's people inside, they're yelling at each other. There's a building superintendent or property manager or whatever you want to call him. He's haggard, he's getting yelled at to come fix this and come fix that. He's going up these stairs. There's kids running around in the hallways. And there's two tenants in the building that are seemingly at odds with each other. One of them has a radio that he plays super loud, and across the way from him, so I guess the building has a courtyard or something. Across the way from him is another fella, and he has a kid that he's like, you're waking my kid up with your loud radio, turn that shit down. And the other guy's just like, I don't speak English. And so the guy who wants the radio turned down gets his gun and starts shooting at the other guy's window. And this isn't how you solve problems. This isn't proper problem solving. This is not dispute management here. This is a clear escalation. We just have a nice little bit of animosity shown between these two characters. There's another lady that we meet who is meeting with somebody from, I guess, the courts, family court. Lady comes in and she's got, the manila file folder. It looks very official, and she's like, okay, well, we reached a thing in your divorce case. She's like, oh yeah, what is it? Yeah, the judge basically the judge told her that she needs to stop nagging her husband so much. I'm like, that might be the only joke. I don't know. It's played straight, but the fact that somebody came all the way down from the courthouse and that was the piece of information they had. Yeah, the judge says you just need to be less of a nag. Sure, okay. Thanks, 1984. That's what happens there. She's like, I really need to appeal this decision. Who do I talk to about that? She's like, well, if you want to appeal it, you're going to have to go down to the courthouse. You're going to fill out more forms. She's like, okay, but who do I talk to about that? I don't know, just go down to the courthouse. The court lady is very clearly trying to just pass this off. She doesn't want to deal with this problem. She's like, I got a shitty verdict to give this person. I don't want to deal with this. I'm overworked. I'm underpaid. Let me just give you the bad news and let me leave. That's not what happens, though. The divorce lady is right up in her face, and she's like, you tell me who I need to talk to. And she's backing up as she's getting in her face, and she backs right up into a bookcase, which falls on top of her, and I guess she dies? So there's a scream, and some kids run up the stairs. They're like, it's an emergency, and, a couple of people come down. There's the guy who was shooting, the guy who was getting shot at, and one other lady. They all show up, and there's a corpse in the room. She's like, oh, what do we do? Like, oh, you guys have to help me get rid of the body. Like, what do you mean we have to help you get rid of the body? Yeah, you have to help me get rid of the body. Because if the cops come in and investigate, they will find out that you two are here illegally. Because, like, one of them's a Mexican immigrant, the other one's an Asian lady. And she points at the black guy and says, and they're gonna find out about your drugs. And he's like, what? What? What are you talking about? And she's like, I'm just gonna tell them you're doing drugs. Oh. Okay, so she just straight up is blackmailing these 3 neighbors into helping her get rid of the body. You know, they're like, well, what do we do about it? They're coming up with ideas. Much like the 2 protagonists from Rope, they're like, maybe we could just load the body into a car, drive it upstate, and dump it in a lake somewhere. And they're like, none of us have a car. We live in New York. Oh. Plus, everyone would see us loading the body into a car. Oh. And then shooting guy, he's like, hey, what about if we just take it out with the trash? Can we do that? Just take the body out with the trash? Like, somebody's gonna notice that. The garbage man will find it. That's not gonna work. So what they end up doing, Divorce Lady has this idea, and I don't remember any of these characters' names, because I'm sure they talked to each other in, like, you know, like, I think they were on last name basis. You know, like, oh, Mr. Jones lives next door in 3B. You know, that sort of thing. I'm sure they all had last names that they were referring to each other as, but Lord knows I can't remember them. So they get the idea that they're just gonna take her body and hide it in one of the buildings in the neighborhood that's all boarded up and run down and condemned. And they're just gonna leave it in there. So they roll her up in a blanket, and the 4 of them are just carrying it down a dark street in the middle of the night. They take it into the building, they set it down, a cop car drives by, they all sort of freak out a little bit and they scatter, and they're like, well, that's good enough, let's go home. And then they just start walking home. They walk past a couple of cops that are on the street, the cops look at them, and they're like, careful officers, it's a rough neighborhood. That's what the immigrant fella said. And the cops are just like, giving them the stink eye. But then they just shrug their shoulders and off they go. And that's the end of the movie. They got away with it. Zero scheming, zero pomp and circumstance. Just, oops, we killed somebody. How do we get rid of the body? We'll just put it in the building next door. Nobody will ever think to check. It's like, when they find out who it is, they are 100% going to be like, well, what was she doing in this neighborhood? Oh, she was visiting her. Okay, let's ask her what happened. She's gonna get, the investigation's gonna happen anyway. This is absolutely ridiculous. Okay, there's one scene after that, and it's, Divorce Lady is getting her kid ready for school in the morning, and that's just it. They step out, and she fixes her dress, and then the credits roll. Like, what? Alright, I get it, it's a short film. You know, you're not expecting, it's a short film, it's an indie production. For what it is, you know, it's well acted. Everybody in it acted believably. It's just, I don't know, I think I expected something a little bit more. When it was described as like a dark comedy, I'm like, oh, there's gonna be like something amiss about how they cover up the murder. No, nothing so much as hijinks happening with the murder. It's just they picked her up and put her in another building. That's just it. Sorry, Mario, your corpse is in another castle. So, I don't know. I expected a little something else. But yeah, well acted. I want to say, obviously, the set is very authentic. You could find those sorts of buildings a dime a dozen in the 80s. Trust me. If you couldn't find one back then, you were not living in a city. Everybody had one of those somewhere. Yeah, everybody's kind of believable. It's definitely got a strong feeling. It's very, like, viscerally, this is the neighborhood. It's just the plot didn't really go anywhere. If you've got 20 minutes to kill, I can think of worse things. give it a watch if you feel like it. We will not be doing Seven Samurai this week because it's 3.5 hours long and I'm tired. So let's see what we're getting next week. Darn. Okay. Okay. It's difficult to tell what's in front because, as usually stated, things just sort of it counts what's closest to the front. So the vampire being all the way up here already does not count as being further along than something all the way down here. Saladin the Victorious is out front. Chosen because it's an African film, I believe. This appears to be a bit of an equalizer, though. Things are just plowing through there. Saladin, 3 women have unseated him. Because there's swirls. Okay. They're going up the towers here. And then around these bends. There's these fields here of little obstacles. Little bumps. Okay. It's just they're little speed bumps. Alright. The two in the lead right now. Neck and neck is 3 women and the Velvet Vampire. Is it going to be a girls' night movie? It's hard to tell. It is especially hard to tell right now because everything is going around in these swirls. It's still going to be up to those two, I'm pretty sure. They're just coming down opposite tracks. 3 women out first, then Velvet Vampire. My favorite software is being here after that. Weird looking track, isn't it? Things got a little bit chunky there. Okay. 3 women and Velvet Vampire are still out front. Bazin Meadow coming in from behind, but getting stuck. Yeah, it's still... Oh, the Heroic Trio. Oh, that could be fun. Hong Kong martial arts film. Also women. Saladin coming up from behind again, retaking first place. Looking like it might wind up being titularly victorious after all. And yes, first place. Saladin the Victorious. Alright. Then Bazin Meadow, After Hours, 3 Women, Killing of a Chinese Bookie, Fear City, Night Moves, My Dinner with Andre, The Innocent, and Jane V, Para Agnes V. Everything is still trickling in. We haven't had any fatalities yet. At least not that I saw. Yeah, so I guess our winner, our final winner is Saladin the Victorious. Which, whoop. Yeah, watch everything fall in there. Moonrise Kingdom, what are you doing so far in the back? Okay, yeah, Saladin the Victorious was our winner. I did not spell that correctly. Whoopsie-daisy. Alright, let me pull up the stats on that guy. What are you doing in here for? Saladin the Victorious from 1963, chosen because it is an African film. Specifically, so there is... Hi, Tona. That's okay. These things happen. We were just doing the marble race to pick out our movie for the week. And we got Saladin the Victorious, which... made it onto my list because it is an African film. Filmed in Egypt by Egyptians. You know, if you watch something... A lot of the times back in the 60s, you know, when they made a movie about folks in the Middle East, it would be British actors with some makeup. And this isn't that. This is actual, authentic Egyptians. So, that's fun. You know, 7.5 out of 10 rated on IMDb. 186 minutes, though. So it's a long film, but it's not the longest on the list. Last week when I ran this race, I had gotten a 20-minute film, and then I was like, maybe I'll also watch the second place. The longest film on the list is Seven Samurai, clocking in at 207 minutes, 3.5 hours. That's what wound up coming up as the second place in last week's race. And so when I was like, maybe I'll watch second place, that did not happen. Titanic is... I don't imagine Titanic is longer than like 2.5 hours. Google, how long is Titanic? What? Titanic, wow, okay, never mind. Titanic is Titanic is longer than I had anticipated. It is difficult to get people to sit in a theater for that long these days. I've done it once for Gone with the Wind. If you account for inflation, Gone with the Wind is the highest grossing film of all time, which is fucked up because it's like a fucked up movie. But yeah, that is, I guess a good place to leave off.